Welcome everyone to my presentation. Today I'm going to discuss about identification of regional and economic context of sustainable urban logistics policies. My name is Abel. Currently I'm a PhD student at Swedish University of Agricultural Science in Uppsala, Sweden. So let's start with some background about urban logistics. Basically, the concept of urban logistics is to improve efficiency and mitigate externalities of the freight movement in urban area, where this system is inherently complex due to multiple reasons. One is the existence of multiple stakeholders having conflicting stake, intricate routing pattern, the existence of diverse good types to be transported. Uh, in addition to this, we have different sets of trends in across different corners of the world. For example, if you take the priorities in European cities is preservation of historic town centers, whereas in developing countries is to mitigate congestion and enhance the economic serviceability. So with these different levels of adoption of these urban logistics measures or solutions or policies exist in different contexts and especially in different countries. So this will open a door for more transferability of these practices and experiences between these different countries and different cities around the world. So this leads to the transferability, in which is a process which knowledge about policies, administrative arrangement, and institutions in one time or in one place used in the development of policies or administrative arrangements or institutions in another time or in another place. So in this, we have different pathways to achieve transferability. One is by direct copying of the policies. Second one is the adoption, the adopting the context of policies into the new setup. The other one is taking inspiration or ideas and observations to the new context. So this policy transferability is highly influenced by a couple of many factors: political, professional, institutional, economic, and social. But the key to the successful transferability of these policies is understanding the context where these policies are implemented, especially the dependencies in like the type of measure, contexts, the different existence of different barriers and drivers in the transferability process. So this transferability is an active process, and different cities are learning a lot of experience in between them. But in urban logistics research domain, this thing is usually rare and under researched. So we need to give more influence in learning experiences between different contexts and different cities around the world to share the knowledge and enhance the process and change and bringing together to solve the challenges in freight movement in urban area. This leads us to our research question. What are the contexts of these urban logistics policies worldwide, especially with different economic levels and also geographic locations? And can those contexts be used to identify barriers and drivers in the transfer process? So based on these questions, our objective is how can we analyze the context of different urban logistics policies worldwide and try to apply, their significance in the process of transferability of these lessons between these existing contexts. So this is formulated research method. So the left one on the screen is our methodological framework, and the right one is the already established 10-step transferability process from Macario and Marquez. So in our methodological framework, we follow 4 different stages. So the first stage is by using systematic literature review to retrieve and filter the existing urban logistics measures around the world by searching research databases. So then after these measures are identified, then filter these measures into their origin, one in their geographic origin, which is based on the continents around the world, which is to 6 continents. The other is the economic level of the origins, which is using the United Nations economic classification of countries as developed economies in transition and developing, with one additional concept in this economic classification is arising now, the concept of emerging economies. So our economic level will be classified into 4 different classes. Then by conducting these distinguished filtered measures, by conducting outlining their topics and their thematic focus, we possibly can identify the existing different contexts within these urban logistics measures. Then these contexts identified in stage 3 going to be used to identify the common barriers and drivers in the transferability between developed and developing countries as a case example. So this research will have a contribution into 5 steps out of the 10-step transferability framework, as you can see, as a forward contribution in with arrows. So let's go to the results part. As you can see, the first result is the distribution of papers, which are filtered, retrieved and filtered. As you can see, 325 papers, relevant papers, were selected for this study after the retrieval and the careful filtering. On the left columns, the first column shows the region and the second column shows the number of papers or the number of studies or solutions existing in these different regions and their distribution within the economic classes. As you can see from this table, one thing that we can learn is different regions have different contribution of these urban logistics policies. For example, European cities dominated this contribution with more than almost 2/3 of the total contribution by European cities, whereas the African region contributed a very less amount. So as you can see, transferability can be done even between these 2 contexts and also other contexts. So the second one, the second stage is the topics distribution within different economic levels. As you can see with the charts, the two charts, one is the topics on the charts and also their pattern with a number of papers within each topics. This tell you the focus of the topics within the different classes of the economies. As you can see, for European context, the contribution in sustainability is very high in the developed economies, whereas in emerging economies, the focus is also sustainability and also stakeholder participation. And then apart from this distribution of the papers within the economic classes, even within a single topic of urban logistics major, we can have different contexts. For example, if you take the urban consolidation, and in developed economies, it focuses on user perception and the financial viability or finding a good business case for developing this consolidation infrastructure. And for emerging economies is to spatially allocate retailers to the urban consolidation centers. For developing economies, is much more narrowed to managing the facility operations at UCCs, consolidation centers. This goes on to the other topics as well. For pickup point, is about parcel locker network performance and creating value and values and customer perspective. In emerging economies, studying the self-service parcel delivery use intention by the customers. In developing economies, and it focuses on the customers' perceptions and design of this parcel lockers network. So the other result is the transferability exercise between the two different contexts. As I told you, in developed economies, you have well accumulated knowledge and experience in drawing policies for related to urban logistics, whereas in the developing countries, there is a few or much less experience. So in order to tackle this problem, the policy transferability can be an active and best suited policy to bridge these gaps, the gap between these two different contexts. So with this, the identification of barriers and drivers was done. One is choosing the relevant barriers to discuss. We identified 5 different barriers. One is institutional, financial, physical, technological, and cultural barriers. So the relevance of these barriers along with each topics in this transferability is rated into 3 different scales. One is highly relevant, as you can see, with double star, and the second one is relevance with a single star, and the one is the irrelevant one, the third one. And also the specific drivers along with individual topics are also identified. If you can see the one in the red box, crowd shipping, as you can see, the barriers of institutional and technological and cultural are relevant for transferring crowd shipping solutions between developed and developing countries. So in this, the specific driver can be the high population densities in the developing countries, cities in the developing countries, since much of the urbanization is currently undergoing in developing countries. And also there is an active urban sprawl where the logistics facilities are migrating from the city center to the periphery of the city. So these two basic elements can be driver in the transferability process to the developing countries. Other, we can consider the urban consolidation center. For this, the financial and physical, the financial investment in the development of the physical infrastructure, the consolidation center are highly relevant, and also the institutional strengths to come up with a good business case and convincing stakeholders to use this consolidation center will be relevant. So the driver in this is the opportunity that we can get in implementing the consolidation center, which is the enhancement of the delivery performance can be a good case. So with this, we lead to the highlights of the conclusion part. One is the economic and geographical location. Contexts have a strong association with the context where the measures are implemented, since we can find different range of focuses both in the geographical locations and also in the economic contexts. The second one is from all the barriers, the 5 barriers, institutional and physical barriers are found to be highly relevant in the transfer of measures to the developing economies. The other is drivers or facilitators in the transferability process are highly linked with the specific contexts or on the recipient city. So with this all, I will conclude my presentation. Thank you. So this topic is already published on the MDPI Sustainability Journal recently that you can find with a link provided. And if you want to communicate, you can communicate me with my LinkedIn. So thank you.